Is this going to be Dudley's
Hello.
first appearance on the
It
podcast?
is. Come on, dude.
Oh,
Let's
get
do
him
it.
on the camera.
Dude, come on, we'll get you a cameo. Come here. Dude, dude, where you going? Dude, Dudley, dude,
Hello,
Dudley,
Dudley. Welcome to the Second City podcast.
dude, Dudley, what are you doing? Nothing here.
Dan's finding the difficulties
No,
of
what are you
filming with a
doing?
laptop here.
And a Labrador.
Hey,
There
there
he
he
is.
is.
Hey,
Hey.
dude, dude, dude. Hello, I'm Daniel Sketchley.
And I'm Callum Byrne.
We've been friends for more than 10 years, sharing lifelong passions such as film and music,
But most importantly, football, through the ups and the downs.
the celebration and the heartbreak.
However, he's a blue nose.
And he's a villain.
This is the Second City podcast.
Hello, my friend. How are you this week, Callum?
Evening, Dan. Merry Christmas. As this is going to effectively
And
be
you?
our Christmas episode, isn't it?
Yeah, probably, pretty much. Although I'm sure we'll do an episode between Christmas and New Year, hopefully. I'm sure we will. Um,
Hopefully, yes.
hopefully, no promises. Um, but yes, thanks for joining the three of us this week.
Yeah.
We are, I don't know if maybe in the YouTube intro you'll have seen a little snippet there, but we are joined by oh, go on, another preview here, Dudley.
There he is.
There he is. Hey. We are joined by the podcast mascot, my Labrador Dudley, who's insisted on joining us this week, which is very nice of him.
Is he
But yeah,
subscribed on Spotify?
everything, Spotify, um, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, whatever it's called, YouTube, a lot. Big supporter of the podcast and diehard Blue Nose.
Oh, I had to go and ruin it.
Yeah, wow, no, he's a smart boy, isn't he? But yeah, how have you been, Cole? All good though, yeah.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Finally got 2 days left of work, so
Nice,
we're almost free for a fortnight, which would be nice.
very nice.
My cousin popped over from Ireland at the weekend, so I went and met her for a couple of beers, um,
Nice.
over the Liverpool Manchester United game, which was just on in the background. So that was very nice.
Nice.
What about yourself?
Yeah, good, yeah. Yeah, just tired, man. Kind of in the home straight to Christmas now, so clocking in the overtime, getting on it. But yeah, good, yeah. Enjoy it. Like kind of just yeah, kind of just trying to get to Christmas and just, enjoy that week and stuff. But yeah, no, I'm good otherwise, thank you. I'm good. Went to Blues last night.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Yeah.
And yeah, which I'm sure we'll get onto. Obviously played on the Monday night, hence why we're recording on a Tuesday for a change. This is
It's
unacceptable.
thrown me so out of kilter for recording this on a
Yes.
Tuesday. It means I've got to speedy the edit out probably
Yes,
tomorrow
we're
and get it out tomorrow
definitely.
night.
Yeah. But yeah, no, otherwise, yeah, good, thank you. So this week we'll start with, as we always do, with what we're wearing. I'm sure you know the gist by now. And then we'll get into, so we're going to talk about, obviously both teams played twice this week as well. Blues played Cardiff away on Wednesday, last Wednesday. So we'll talk about that just quickly, won't spend too long on it. Then we'll talk about Villa's week. They played in Europe, and then they played Brentford on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about Blues playing last night. But yes, so then we'll get into some housekeeping, and then we'll look ahead to what's going on Boxing Day and the weekend just before that with Blues and Villa. So yeah, should we get into it, Cal?
Let's get straight in because it's going to be another bumper edition, I think, this week. Lots of
Yeah.
games. I think it's
Yes.
I think Sky Sports say Christmas is for football.
Yes, they would though, because they'll do anything to get us to watch. Um, yeah, cool. What we're wearing. Who should go first this week, Cal?
Ooh. Shall I guess yours first this week, Dan?
Sure. So for
So
anyone,
we've got a white Adidas Triple Eight Sport kit.
yep,
Doesn't particularly narrow it down. It looks so similar to some of the other white away Blues kits you've worn in the last like
yeah,
18 weeks
yes,
or whatever.
yeah,
Um, let's think. It's going to be of that era when we were both in the championship together. I think we're going to go for 2017-18 away.
Full house, bang on, absolutely. Who do you think the manager was this season? That's a brief guess.
So my guess came because that looks like an invert of the home kit, which I would imagine it would have been Steve Cottrell, Steve Bruce, and Gary Monk season.
Steve Cottrell, Steve Bruce, and Gary Monk.
Yeah, I had the order wrong, but I remember I picture the 2-0 at Villa Park where Steve Cottrell was the manager.
Wait, is he because Steve Bruce was your manager?
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, sorry, I meant Harry Redknapp. Sorry, I meant Harry Redknapp, and I just said Steve Bruce. Yeah.
No, don't worry. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're correct. Yeah, this was a really weird season. So this kit I got for my 20th birthday. I'm pretty sure. And yeah, so 2017-18 away. So I wore the home version of this like a couple of months ago, I think. But yeah, this was the season where Redknapp had kept us up on the last day of the year before, and this would have been our first full season under the Trillion Trophy Asia BSHL ownership that came in 2016. And like it's a season that started. It's a really we talked last week about seasons that are really defining and that leave such a mark for years, and this was absolutely one of them. Like there's so much optimism coming into the season. Like we thought the new owners was going to be a really exciting time, and Redknapp was going to stick around as the manager, which having a name like Redknapp was quite exciting. John Terry was meant to be signing for
I was going to
us.
say
Alex
the
Song did
some of you
sign for
spent
us.
so much money.
Yeah, we did. And Alex, this was the summer that got us a points deduction eventually, for overspending. Alex Song was announced as signing for us, and then that didn't happen. That was really weird. And yeah, just a really chaotic season though. The Redknapp thing did not work at all. So we brought back Steve Cottrell, who had been Redknapp's assistant the previous season at the end of the season. That didn't work either. Things got really just quite ugly at the club. We went on some really awful runs. I think we lost 8 in a row at one point. In like sort of February, March time. We lost 2-0 at Villa Park, lost at Wolves, just seemed to get outplayed every week, despite bringing in players like Hotter, Harley Dean, Maxime Collan, like some good players. And then thankfully at the end of the season, Gary Monk came in, and this was one of many seasons where we did like a sort of big great escape at the end. And we did have some really memorable games at the end of that season as a result to kind of haul ourselves out of trouble, because we were actually bottom at Christmas with I think like 17 points or something, which is absolutely insane. And it's a thing, isn't it, that if you're bottom at Christmas, you're almost certainly going down. And we were.
Yeah.
I remember at Christmas being like, we're not just losing, we are so bad. I was like, this is as bad as I've ever seen Blues. We are dreadful. And I was mad because I didn't think we had a bad squad. Like we had the players I just mentioned, and like Jukovic that was doing it for us, and Shay Adams and so on. But at the end of the season, we really hauled ourselves out of it. Got some good wins, beat Hull 3-0 and beat Bolton 1-0 away with a Jukovic's goal. Beat Fulham, who obviously beat you in the playoff final this year. We beat them on the last day 3-1 to stay up, which is a game I really regret not being at. Because I had like some uni commitments and stuff. But
I remember that game because I think did you have a pit? There was a pitch invasion at the end.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing a video on Twitter of a fan going up to Mitrovic on the floor, going, "Beat Villa in the playoffs."
Yeah, which they did, of course.
Yeah.
But one of my favourite memories of a game that I was at in this season was we played Burton Albion at home, and Monk had come in at this point, and Burton were right down there with us, and we were actually 1-0 down, and it was like a huge game. Like it's Burton Albion, like Burton Albion, and Jukovic scored a header in like the 85th minute or 87th minute or something to rescue a draw, and like the limbs were like insane. And it's like I think it's just the context. Like it was an equaliser at home against Burton, and the place just went insane. That's a really fond memory I have, and that point was crucial in keeping us up in the end. So yeah, weird season because it ended on a positive, but all in all was a disaster and did have real ramifications. But really nice slip kit. I know what you're saying about like it's not that different to some of the other white ones we've had with like a blue trim over the years. But Adidas, I think, do things better and a bit cleaner than a lot of the other kit manufacturers. And yeah, so this was 2017-18. So
You're not seriously about to tell me that the Adidas kit is better quality than X-Tep?
I know, it's mad. I know, it's whoa, crazy. Um, but yeah, no, and this would have been we would have been in our last year at uni at this point. So yeah, just a really good time, really fun memories. I was still in Cheltenham and had a really good year that year. Um, so I kind of associate. It's weird how you associate seasons with like time, like what's going on in your personal life, sort of. So yeah, 2017-18 home is this one. Away, 2017-18 away. Sorry, I do that every week. I've noticed. Like,
I've got to cover this up, otherwise it's going to give away
okay.
the year.
So guessing you're not actually wearing like a conventional kit.
This
Um,
is a score draw remake of a real shirt.
okay.
There's not a lot to go off for the audio listeners. It's claret and blue with a blue collar,
Yeah.
and the badge is just a line with AV embroidered underneath it. And that's
It
it.
looks it looks like 70s to me. I'm gonna say like 1975.
It's a good shout. It's a really good shout.
Is it
So I don't know if you can read what it says.
1971 Wembley, 1971? Oh, fair
Yeah, so
enough.
this is
What
1970
were you
71.
around in them days?
I was not, no. So I mean, memories of this season are there's not many, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, a memory of wearing this shirt, the first time I wore this shirt was when we played Wolves away at the back end of last year and we lost. So it's not off to a good start in terms of like there's some kits where you wear them. I don't know, I get superstitious about kits that I wear to games. And some shirts, if we've had some bad results, I won't wear them on match day. So
Yeah.
do you remember I think it was our Heskey podcast, the home shirt I wore with Petrov on the back? I've worn that to two games. They were both away games. Tottenham away in 1920 and Man City away in 21-22. And we were leading both games until late on and let three goals in and lost. So never again
Ooh.
is that shirt coming out on match day. Never again.
Yeah.
But this year, some little facts about this season for us. We were in the third division at the time, so the old third division, and we didn't even get promoted. We finished fourth, 3 points off, effectively the equivalent of the playoffs. Um, we got to the first round. We only got to the first round of the FA Cup where we got knocked out. But obviously, the shirt does say Wembley on it. We did get to Wembley where we were runners up in the League Cup, um, where we lost to Tottenham in the final. So we lost 2-0 in the final. And yeah, another
Oh, right. Another
catastrophic.
League Cup loss. Another League Cup final loss. Get used to
Yeah,
them.
another defeat at Wembley. So
Mm.
heartbreak. But mad though, we were in the third division and got to the final of the League Cup.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. But yeah, pretty cool. You can get like these retro kits now. So cool. You can get these like recreated classic kits and so on. Keep kind of the
Yeah.
heritage of the clubs going and
I
stuff.
mean, even as a remake score draw kit, this is a very rare one because it was from
Mm.
like one of the original batches they did. So like the tag in the back has our badge from like the mid 2000s. It's not even the like one of the more modern badges of the 2010s. So it's a
Right.
really old remake. And they're just, you barely see them. And I saw this one on I think it was Vinted like earlier on this year. I was like, buy. But obviously a lot of talk around our badge situation this season, and
Mm.
this is something along these lines is what I reckon we're going to be getting in the next
Where it's
few
all going, isn't it?
weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. Is the
Uh,
is it like flipped? Like the in terms of or is it just the way I'm looking at it?
the shirt or the
No, no, no.
badge?
No. The badge is different this year, and the badge faces the other way this year. Sorry, yeah, that's
Yes.
why.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry, yeah.
Which
No,
way's
of
facing
course.
forward? Which way's facing backwards? Nobody
That
knows
looks more
anymore.
the what how it looks now looks more normal to me
Yeah. So this
because
is
of
the
the
way the
side it's
line
on. It
normally
should
goes.
face
Yeah.
inward. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Who cares? No, yeah, fair enough. So yeah, 1971 home,
70-71. Yeah.
71. Nice. Cool. Shall we get into the games then?
Yes. Let's get cracking. Do you want to briefly talk about the game against Cardiff? Because I think it's fair to say you were dreading this game. You're expecting a loss.
Yeah,
How'd
I
it
was trying
go?
to be positive. Yeah, I was trying to be positive last week, wasn't I? But yeah, like wasn't. I think I said like I wouldn't fancy us to get a point anywhere away at the minute. Um, typically, I think it's maybe the first game under Rooney that I've just not seen any of at all. Um, and that's because I went to a gig on Wednesday night, and so I didn't see the score at all until after the game had ended. So I was really pleasantly surprised to see we won 1-0 against Cardiff, which is a pretty tough place to go. I think they were ninth in the league when we played them. Tough place to go, and by all accounts, we played really well. So I won't spend too long talking about it because obviously I didn't see the game in full, but I've seen all the highlights and all that. Lovely goal from Janino Bacuna, real
Really
composure,
good goal.
really good goal to kind of flick it over the keeper and calmly tap it in. Under Rooney. But yeah, a real positive result. First points on the road under Rooney, our first away point since we beat Bristol City away 2-0, and that was in August. And I believe that was our second episode of this podcast. For
Something
context,
like that, yeah.
I think this is episode 18. So,
Yeah.
like in that whole time, we did not pick up a single point away from home. That is crazy. But yeah, a real positive step. Um, so it's kind of a shame that it's almost a week ago now. It doesn't really make sense in my opinion. A week's a long time in football, and obviously we played again last night. But yeah, that's kind of all I really have to say on the Cardiff game, and we'll talk about maybe the ramifications it had on the Leicester game last night a bit later on, I think.
Yeah. And in sort of similar fashion, I'll rattle through the European game for Villa on Thursday where we played Mostar, because it's going to be almost a week ago. But that's the schedule that we live by, where it's just football, football, football. But yeah, we got a draw on the night, 1-1. Job done, really. We only needed a point going there. We mentioned that. Legia Warsaw did beat AZ Alkmaar, but it didn't matter in the end. Certainly not a game to rewatch. It was definitely wasn't a classic. Where it was, I think it was just a typical case of we obviously didn't want to. Neither team wanted to lose the game, and obviously Mostar had nothing to fight for, and so it was just a game. We obviously are playing so many games at the moment. We made 8 changes. We gave a debut to Philip Marshall because Robin Olsen is unavailable at the moment. So we were unsure. We spoke about last week whether he'd get thrown in or not, and we didn't think he would. So I thought he did very well, bar a couple of little wobbles near the end. But I was very impressed. Very confident to play out from the back. Which is, I think, for a young goalkeeper, fantastic. And albeit he didn't have much to do, but I thought he gave a very good account of himself. I mean, he was on loan at, I think, Gateshead last year, so it's quite the step up from Gateshead to playing in the Europa Conference League away in Bosnia. Um, but yeah, we were a bit lacking in the first half. It was just a game without much intent. We're trying not to exert too much energy. They were happy just to sit back and sort of defend whatever they could. So we made a few changes. We brought Luca Dean on. We brought John McGinn on. John McGinn involved instantly, put a really nice cross in. And Nicolo Zaniolo finally got his first goal in an Aston Villa shirt. So he's now up and running. So hopefully that's going to be give him a bit of confidence and be the start. Almost like that will really kickstart his season now. When we spoke about Zaniolo a week or two ago, when we spoke about the Bournemouth game, how he's just trying to do too much all at once, and rather than just get the basics right and it will come. And that's kind of what it was. He was in the right place at the right time. So that was really good to see. Tommy O'Reilly made his debut as well, another youngster out the academy. I thought he looked pretty sharp when he came on. It's just a shame that we let a sloppy goal in at the end. We had a little scare where Philip Marshall made a mess of playing the ball out from the back. And miss of the season went to the Mostar striker. or where if he'd have left the ball, I think so Marshall the ball's come back to him and instead of maybe taking a touch and trying to pass it out, he's under pressure and he's just gone to boot the ball up the pitch and it's hit the back of Callum Chambers and cannoned back towards the goal. And the Mostar player trying to get a touch on it to get his goal, puts it over the bar rather than letting it go in the back of the net.
Mm.
Um, but then Callum Chambers gets beat a couple of minutes later. And to be fair, the strike is wicked. It goes into the top corner. Nothing the goalkeeper can do. Um, Callum Chambers only made a couple of starts this season, and he looks like a player that's barely played any football in 8 months. He's looked, he's not been great when he's played, but he's not played enough games, and I would not be surprised to maybe see him go in January, just for the sake of his own career, really. He's not even a bit of a utility player now that's coming off the bench for 15, 20 minutes. He's hardly in the squad now. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him moved on. No Clement Longley either, which was a surprise. It looks like he's going to have his loan cancelled in January and go back to Barcelona so they can sell him to AC Milan in January. But job done. Very jealous of everyone that got to go to Mostar. It looked like an absolutely wicked away day. The stadium looked amazing. Like, you know what? These I'm not a big fan of like these soulless bowl stadiums you get. Like Tottenham's new stadium, as modern stadium goes, absolutely wicked. Um, but the stadiums like this, like Luton Stadium, like that's real what it's all about for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
Characterful, had one stand down the side of the pitch, like absolutely fantastic. But yeah, here's to now. We just gotta wait till like February to January, February for the draw. So some interesting teams are in that playoff round. So
See,
Ajax and Real Betis have dropped down.
yeah, there's something about Frankfurt,
Yeah,
Eintracht
they didn't top
Frankfurt
their
as
group,
well.
so they're in the playoff
Right,
round. So
right.
I think PAOK topped that group, not Eintracht Frankfurt. So that was a shock to me because I thought because
Mm,
I think Frankfurt lost to Aberdeen on Thursday. And it meant they didn't
right.
top the group. So
Mm,
mad.
blimey. Bold
Um,
that.
yeah. So yeah, we're through. We did what we needed to do. Wasn't pretty, but we got the result we needed. So um,
Job done.
job done. And then so we had Brentford then on Sunday at 2 o'clock. Um, so as I said, I went out on Sunday and but I caught the Liverpool game, but I missed our game and had to do the result avoiding in a bar with the football on.
Yeah. How
And
did that go?
somehow managed to have it went very, very well. So I managed to watch the game when I got home. And yeah, another away game in the Premier League this year where we maybe struggled a little bit. Certainly weren't at our best. We haven't quite found that like the formula. We're getting results away from home, but we haven't quite found the formula that we've got at home. We've got no fear at home, as whereas every time we play away in the league at the moment, we're just not looking as sharp. Um, we went back to that sort of weird back five where we had Cash in midfield, and then the Conza Carlos, Torres, and Moreno as the back four. And as we say, sometimes it's worked. A lot of the time, it hasn't really worked with Matty Cash in this hybrid role. And I do wonder if because that one game against Burnley where he scored a brace, it's why we're persisting with it a little bit. It's just a thought. Um, I like Matty Cash, and he's actually had a good season, in my opinion.
Mm,
But I do think he suits that. He's just so much more at home when he plays at right back. And then Konza's much better in the centre as well. He can do a really good job out at right back, but he's not a natural right back. But then you've got that dilemma of he's probably been one of our players of the season so far. But all of a sudden you've got Carlos and Torres are forming quite a nice centre back partnership. So if we can get Matty Cash to really click in this sort of hybrid midfield role, it it could open up quite a lot of opportunities for us. But it's good problems to have. You want people fighting for the shirt. But yeah, I thought as I said, we didn't play amazingly, but I thought we were the better team in the first half. We probably had a few of the better chances. Brentford had some really good clear cut opportunities where they tried to get in behind the high line. Annoyingly, we conceded when we were probably the better team from a set piece. Alex Moreno loses his man, and Keane Lewis Potter obviously scores his first ever Premier League goal against us. He's been there, it's his second season, hasn't scored in the league, did it against us. So here's something to point out. Rasmus Højlund hasn't scored a Premier League goal yet. We're playing Man United on Boxing Day. I'd be putting
Oh
money
yeah,
on him to get his first Premier League goal
yeah,
against us on Boxing Day.
yeah,
If he
class.
doesn't do it against Forest at the weekend. But yeah, so all of a sudden it was a game where maybe we weren't great, but we'd been on top, and all of a sudden we've lost the lead, and yeah, we hadn't won at Brentford. So I did check because I said it was about 1930 where we hadn't beaten Brentford away. It was a bit more recent than that. It was 1953. Uh, was our last
Oh, well,
away
that's
win.
fine. That's
Yeah,
fine then.
yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously we didn't play them a lot because we were in lots of different
Yeah,
divisions, and
of
it's
course.
only really been since we got relegated to the Championship where I think we've played them every single season bar one. But still, to only have beaten them once in that period,
Mm,
it's quite something. Um,
yeah.
which was the 4-0 at Villa Park last year. So the best result we'd ever got away from home since we started playing them again 8 seasons ago was the 1-1 last season. So when we went a goal behind,
Wow.
it's a
Blimey.
bit different to when we were at Tottenham and we went a goal behind, where like I always felt that we could get back into that game. I was a bit more apprehensive about this one just because we statistically do not do well at Brentford. It's a small stadium, small pitch. They are very good at home. They, even without their best players like Ivan Toney, Brian and Burmo, um, they are still a really good side at home, and they did cause us a few problems. They had a couple of half chances at the start of the second half, um, where they got in behind. I think Keane Lewis Potter played a lovely ball across the box, and Alex Moreno made a last-ditch tackle um, to clear the ball away, kept us in at 1-0. The game all changed in the 75th minute, 70th minute, something like that. When Brentford had a corner, it's been cleared, and Ben Mee went into a tackle with Leon Bailey, foot raised, studs up, over the ball. Referee gives a foul and a yellow card. VAR understandably overturns it to a red. It's as clear as a red card as I think you'll ever see. Leon
Mm,
Bailey, thank God his foot wasn't planted. It was just off the ground. If it had been planted, it could have been a really, really nasty one. Um,
mm,
and a player who's in absolutely fantastic form for us as well. We cannot afford to be losing him to a leg breaker. Um, so Ben Mee, I couldn't believe this. That's Ben Mee's first red card since like 2013. Like
right.
that astounds me because he
Yeah,
goes
you'd think it's the
flying
amount
into
of
trouble.
cards he picked up. Yeah.
Yeah, like he has injured a few players. He did Wesley's ACL. I think he did somebody else's ACL a couple
Mm,
of years later. So not that he's a dirty player, but I can't believe
no,
a player
comes.
that flies into a lot of challenges. He doesn't
Yeah, he's a bit
hasn't
gung
picked up a
ho,
red.
isn't
Yeah. It's that old stereotypical Burnley, isn't it?
he? Yeah, big
Uh,
time. Yeah.
but yeah, it all changed at that point. All of a sudden we had the extra man. We were on top, and Leon Bailey, as I said, he's in the form of his Aston Villa career, maybe even the form of his life right now. Putting a lovely ball to the back post where Alex Moreno was there waiting, similar to the goal he scored against Legia Warsaw, and just headed it into the corner. 1-1, and all of a sudden it felt like we could go and win the game. There's 10 minutes to go. We haven't really been at it, but all of a sudden, just the momentum of the game just completely swung. Um, and like 5 minutes later, we get a corner. The ball comes in. Kamara sort of back heels it, but flicks it up in the air. And Ollie Watkins was there to score against his former club, 2-1. And he went and sort of celebrated in the net. Apparently, there was a fan that was giving him all sorts of abuse under the sun. And so he just stood in the net and stared at him.
Yeah, so I had some stuff like I heard people kind of talking about it before I saw it, and people made quite a big deal of it. I just didn't even see what was wrong with it. Like he's not. So I'll get onto it later with something kind of similar happened in the Blues game last night.
Yeah,
But he probably was. I don't know if you saw that one, but like
I did. Yeah.
he probably was getting pelters all game. And he
I mean,
didn't like
I
do
don't think
anything. He stayed. He
yeah,
didn't go into the fans. He didn't go over the border, like over the
he
advertising
didn't shush
hoardings.
him or cup his ear or anything.
And even if he had, like, so what? It comes with the turf. Like, what? Like,
Yeah.
and even if he wasn't, like, I don't know. It was whatever. It's brief, and I didn't really see what was wrong with that, to be
Yeah,
honest.
a
Like,
lot's been made out of it.
and
For him
I'd
being
love to
like,
slag a Villa player off, but no,
yeah,
I didn't really see what was wrong with it. Like,
but like even if he had gone and goaded a fan, like Jamie Vardy does it week in, week out, and he gets hailed for it. We love it
oh
when Jamie
yeah,
does it,
this
you
is it.
know.
Well, I mean, I don't. I think he's a knobhead, but in my humble opinion, but I know what you mean. There's nothing people do think, oh, top lad, Jamie Vardy, like
Yeah, yeah.
nothing. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't see anything wrong with it. Like,
And
did
it's
kick
one
off
of
though. Did spark
yeah, it's
big
because I think
ruckus,
Simon
didn't it?
Godos didn't like him staring down the Brentford fans or whatever, and so got involved, and it became this big ruckus. And all of a sudden,
Mm,
then there was just this tension in the rest of the game. Then Neil Maupay
yeah,
had just come onto the pitch, and if Neil Maupay had as much footballing ability as he does attitude, he'd be one
yeah,
heck of a player. Um,
yeah. If he
but
had a bit, if his hit rate in starting fights was uh could be matched his hit rate of goal scoring, it wouldn't be as effective at that either.
he'd be like Jamie Vardy then, where you'd go, "Ah, oh, what
Well,
a
yeah,
lad." As whereas it's
yeah, for
just a bit
sure.
funny and a bit sad, isn't it? Like,
Completely, yeah,
and
completely.
I mean, he has had a better season, Neil Maupay, than his last couple with Everton. So he
Mm,
has found a bit of, I say a bit of form, but he's looking more like the striker he was at Brentford than the striker he was at
mm.
Everton last year. Um, but obviously, you had the two of the probably biggest shit houses in the league on the pitch at the same time in Emi Martinez and Neil
Ah,
Maupay. Where I tell you what, though, I don't know if you've seen the first incident. Leon Bailey, they're having a great season. My God, he almost scored the own goal of the year. Where he's
I
got the
haven't seen
ball,
that.
he
No,
almost scored an own goal from the halfway line.
right.
Like he had the ball and I think he was under pressure, so he wanted to play it back to Emi Martinez and just got so much on it and just sort of whipped
Mm,
it from the halfway line, nowhere near Emi Martinez, who had to sort of chase it down. It almost went in the back of the net. It would have been a
yeah.
comically, brilliantly bad own goal.
Mm,
Um, for some reason, then Neil Maupay decides to just run into Emi Martinez for no reason. I don't understand why he did it because Emi Martinez was
yeah.
always just going to go to ground and waste time.
Yeah.
You're
Uh,
chasing the
uh,
game.
yeah. Are you not a little embarrassed about it? Like, even as a Villa fan, you're not like, come on, dude,
I
come
found it a
on.
bit of
Like,
I that one not too much because I knew that what he was doing, he was time wasting. And Neil Maupay,
yeah,
if you
sure,
wanted to
sure.
have the corner taken quickly, why would you give a player an excuse to time waste?
Yeah. Is there a bit of history there with them too as well? Like, there was the whole Burn Leno
Well,
thing and all that,
I
or
don't know. Well, there's a bit of history. Well, you go back to that Burn Leno incident, but weirdly, that injury is what
kind of
sparked a
benefited
chain of
Martinez.
event, sparked
Yeah.
a chain of events that led to Emi Martinez winning the World Cup. So,
Yeah, sure.
um,
Sure.
but obviously there was a lot of afters with a lot of players in that Arsenal team with Neil
Yeah, that's it.
Maupay.
Yeah.
So there's probably a bit of I don't like him.
Mm.
Um, but then obviously as we approach the 90th minute. Um, it might have been, we're in stoppage time. We've won a free kick. Emi Martinez has come over to take it, and he's just given Neil Maupay a little like he's barely touched him. Just give him a little hey. And Neil
Mm.
Maupay in a team chasing the game. Can we point that out again? They're 2-1 down in the 90th minute. Theatrically throws himself to the ground.
Yes.
Um, and this is where it gets a bit silly because we're happy for Neil Maupay to waste time. Emi Martinez doesn't need to get involved again at that point.
Mm.
And that's where he does. He goes over and he did this again to Leeds in the lockdown season where I think Bamford dived and it might have been Tyrone Mings, maybe not Emi Martinez. But anyway, they just picked him up by the shirt and hauled him up when he wanted to be
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
ground. And he's tried to do
yeah.
that with Maupay, who just sort of dead weights to stay on the ground.
Yeah, yeah.
And obviously, it's one of those things where
Bizarre.
the crowd were like, you can't do that. And the players, Nathan Collins was like charged all the way down the pitch to like get in his face. It's all getting
Yeah.
a bit silly. And then Boubacar Kamara does something even more stupid, which is put his hand in the face of a Brentford player to push him away. It's a red card. We can't argue about it. And because it's violent conduct, that's a 3-game suspension.
Mm.
And we got to play Man
Yeah.
United on Boxing Day.
That's
He's a
stupid thing
huge
to do.
player to miss for that game. A huge player.
Hmm.
You know, um,
It's stupid. Like as you say, like you had nothing to like. It was all in your hands at that point. Just keep it going, keep winding them up if you
yeah,
need to. And
yeah, wind him up and
he
leave
like
him on the
shot
ground.
yourself in the foot. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
and
yeah. I
Emery
don't know.
was furious. John McGinn was furious. I've never seen John McGinn, especially as Villa captain anyway. I have not seen him so angry on the pitch, and he was very angry with Emi Martinez for maybe instigating it, and I think he was even more annoyed with Kamara for getting involved in something he didn't need to. Just take your
Hmm.
player away. Like, just
Yeah.
push Emi Martinez away. If you beat Kamara, push him away and be like, Emi, leave him. Don't get involved.
Hmm.
Um, and
It's
like
like lack
Emery
of
was on the
maturity.
pitch. Yeah. I mean, and you have to remember, like, Boubacar Kamara is a very young player. He's
Hmm.
done quite a lot in the game for a player in his very early 20s. He will learn from it. Um,
Hmm.
and it's funny because after we win games at the moment, we've got a video of the players walking into the tunnel and they're all like, yeah. And like Luca Dean, who unfortunately was suspended for this game, but he always walks down and goes, another one. And it's like amazing. Not many of the
Hmm.
players were smiling walking down the tunnel
No.
because they knew they were going to get an absolute bollocking when they got back to the dressing room. Like the only
I
happy
suppose
player was like Alex Moreno because he'd scored.
that's like the standard though. Emery's setting, isn't it? Like
Yeah. And like we've, Emery's he's a very classy manager. Like Mikel Arteta's a great manager. He's done a great job at Arsenal. But I feel like when they lose, he's always got something to moan about in the
oh
media.
yeah,
Like
100.
he's never
Yeah.
happy.
Hmm.
And he's not the only one. He's just one that comes to mind, probably because he shouts as loud as Klopp. Klopp does it and Guardiola as well. I find them
Hmm.
really annoying to listen to in interviews because they're either
Yeah.
really patronizing or they're moaning.
Hmm.
As whereas Emery isn't like that, and I think Thomas Frank said that Emery showed class when it was all kicking off because it was silly on both sides. It was embarrassing for us. It was embarrassing for Brentford. I mean, if I was Thomas Frank, I'd be saying to Mope, I know he's trying to wind you up. We're trying to get something out of the game. Stop giving them
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
excuse sort of thing.
Yeah. Sure.
And both teams will probably get fined for failing to control their players. I think like 11 yellow cards got dished out in the game, and like 10 of them were after Ben Mee's red card.
Yeah. Sure.
It
Yeah.
just chaos broke out.
Yeah.
Um, but we won, which is all that really matters. We came from behind. And it does mean two things. One, if we beat
I know what's coming. I know what's coming.
if we
Yeah.
beat Sheffield United on Friday, we will go
Mm.
top of the league. And if Arsenal and Liverpool play out a draw on Saturday, we'll be top of the league
Yes.
at Christmas. We'll be top of the league at
Yes. I know.
Christmas.
Yeah.
I can't believe
Cracking.
I've just said that. It's a bit
Yeah. That's
surreal to
mad.
say. But the good news is
It's
this is
something like
Aston Villa. We'll lose 1-0 on
it's
Friday night.
something as well. Like you've got more points now already than you got in the whole of your first season when you came back up, which is only like 3, 4 years ago.
We've got 38 points already. And it's
It's
Christmas.
cracking.
It's ridiculous.
Mm.
Yeah, did we even get? We definitely didn't get 40 points the year we stayed
You,
up.
you
I
got
think we had
35. Yeah.
37. Did we give? Yeah, not
35.
even that.
Yeah.
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 So, um, and also as well, I think we've won like we've now won more games in a calendar year in the league than in any other year as well. We've just broken so many
I know.
records.
Mm.
Um, and I checked actually, so I have the AC Memento app on my phone, and it's basically like a way of keeping a track of every game you've ever been to, and you can put a picture and stuff on it.
Mm.
I checked, so I think I've just got one more game to do this season, so I'm doing Burnley at home on the
Mm.
30th. I think I've done 10 Villa games this year, and we've won them all.
Whoa, that's pretty mad. That's an
The,
impressive stat.
yeah, the only other
I've
game
been
that
to about
I've
30
done,
Blues games this year, and we've won about
yeah.
four of them.
The only other game I did was I did Brentford West Ham at the G Tech in the FA Cup third round, and Brentford lost. So that's the only game that I've seen.
Oh, yeah,
It's the
right.
only
Yeah,
defeat I've seen, but I didn't really care who won anyway. So,
yeah, of course. Yeah.
which is mad. But
Well,
bearing in mind, I think in 2022 I didn't see us win a game. I think I only
yeah.
saw defeats that year.
Mm. Well, enjoy it while it lasts. Hopefully, that's not very long, but yeah, must be pretty surreal. Nosebleed territory.
Yeah, like we were all expecting good things with Unai Emery, but I think like we were hoping for maybe we'd qualify for the Europa League, like going back 12
Mm.
months, or even at the start of this year. I was like, heck, if we can just be like we were under Martin O'Neill, where we're in and around that European stuff, what an achievement that would be. But to be talking about, are we in the title race technically? Are we going to win the league? Probably not. But we can dare to dream because
Yeah,
why not?
well, yeah,
And
and we're at the point in the season where it's like for it to maintain for this long, there's at
yeah.
least a chance for thought, unfortunately.
But like if you
Um,
go top of the league after the first week, it's like,
yeah, I mean, it
whoa,
doesn't count.
it
Yeah, it
doesn't
doesn't count.
matter. As whereas to do
No,
it by Christmas would be some going really.
yeah,
The sad news is that Kevin De Bruyne is back in training with Manchester City at the Club World Cup.
yeah,
So.
yeah, yeah. Cool. Should we move on to Blues last night?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. I actually saw a good portion of this game while I wrapped some Christmas presents last night.
Oh, nice. Would you say fair to say good game? I thought it was a good game.
I thought it was very entertaining.
Yeah, so we lost 3-2. Obviously, that's not ideal. And obviously we beat Cardiff, so it's disappointing to not be able to build on it in terms of points. But um, like this has been a more positive week for Blues, definitely. Leicester are the best team in the league. Ipswich will run them close, but Leicester are a Premier League team in
Well, they're
waiting
actually the
in a
best
few
team the
months.
championship has ever seen statistically at the moment.
Yeah, I mean they're on 55 points before Christmas, which is insane. I think the record is like 103 or
103,
something.
isn't it? Reading.
Yeah, yeah, 2006. But yeah, so it's they're so far ahead of us. It was almost a free hit last night. Um, but yeah, good game, and I think it showed like the mood has changed a little bit. Like at full time, the players were walking off. Rooney walked around, and it was a kind of a positive atmosphere. People were like, clapping them off and stuff. It was definitely the best atmosphere I've seen after a home game under Rooney, including maybe even the Sheffield Wednesday game, which is pretty mad to think. Um,
Most importantly, how were the flamethrowers and the fireworks before the game?
Oh, mate, I sent you a video, didn't I?
Yeah.
So like we'll get onto the football, but so we've been saying for years to each other the floodlights of Blues are shit.
Yes.
They're terrible. Um,
I'll always
and it's
remember when
just
you were on Match of the Day and it was just yellow on my screen. It was
it looked
awful. And
awful.
that
Yeah, it looks
that was a
horrible.
good 10, 15 years ago as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But they're putting these new like LED ones around the stadium now. So they did like a mad like light show. Like I've seen it at like Watford and stuff. They probably do it at Villa as well, where like it's like going across the pitch, building a bit of hype and stuff. And then as the players were coming out, it all went dark apart from near the tunnel. And then the players come out, the flamethrowers go off, and then the wave of fireworks go off in front of the dugout again. Just brilliant. This is like this sort of match day experience, like just little things improving month by month in that sense. And I really I do. I every week I talk more about the fireworks than I do about the football,
Yeah.
but it's really really good, and I appreciate that a lot. Keep that going because to me it helps make the game feel like a big occasion. Um, but yeah, we started really well and looked really up for it. Really kept the same team as he did against Cardiff, and you said on WhatsApp it just sums up our season though. So we started well, and I think it was Justin James very nearly scored an own goal for Leicester. The ball
James
goes into their
Justin.
box. James Justin, sorry, and the ball and he somehow hit the ball and it went off his own. It went towards his own goal and hit off his own post. And there was actually a little bit of cheering because everyone thought it was going to bounce back into the goal, but not. It didn't. Obviously, comes back out, and instead Leicester hit us on the break. Mavididi gets played in. Chips Ruddy, 1-0 Leicester, literally in like two passes, and that's what Leicester are. And I was looking at it like they're going to love playing against Wayne Rooney's Blues, like we're going to be so open at the back. But you were talking about Ollie Watkins' celebration earlier, and I don't want to get too much into it, but like it was very, I don't know what you thought about it, but Mavididi like ran right up to the Blues end and like stepped over the advertising hoardings and sat down in front of the Blues fans with his arms crossed. And it's not like being at one of these new bowl stadiums, like he's literally like a couple of centimeters, like not a couple of centimeters, you know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
like within touching distance of like the home fans. I don't know what you thought about that. I just thought it was a bit weird. It's not like there's any history there, I don't think. It was very
I don't know
strange.
why he celebrated like that.
Yeah, it's weird.
I think if the whole stand had been full, would he have done it? No. But obviously I think
No.
there was a good few rows between him and the next
Uh,
set of
yeah, I
fans.
don't
Or at
know.
least how it looked on the telly, maybe about 4 rows,
Ah,
maybe
maybe.
five.
Maybe
Um,
to be fair.
um, but yeah, I think I think when you look at the pictures of like him just with the pitch in the background with him sat on the advertising hoarding, I think it's a
Mm.
really cool picture that the
It
social
is to
guy
be
got.
fair.
But
It
yeah,
is. Yeah,
it is a bit like a FIFA celebration where like you just
yeah, it
charge your
is.
player
Yeah,
into the crowd.
I just think it's weird, and it like from their perspective, unnecessarily really riled the Blues fans up. I
Yeah,
just
I
thought it was
don't
a bit
really,
strange.
I wouldn't understand that.
I don't mind. I don't mind. Like whatever, it is what it is. But anyway, we responded really well and equalised within a few minutes. And Jordan James scores a lovely goal. Sunjic plays him in, and James on the turn with his right foot, one touch to turn, one shot to shoot. Obviously, that's how it works. Straight in, bottom left hand corner, 1-1. He has been one man who I don't know if there's a direct correlation with Rooney coming in, but Jordan James, sorry, it's so confusing. James Justin and Jordan James both playing in the same
Yeah.
game. Um, Jordan James scored a lovely goal, and he's been so good these last few weeks. And this season, we're seeing so much improvement from him, and he's kind of undroppable at this point. So it's great to see an academy product doing so well. And then a few minutes later, again, Leicester hit us on the break, and Dewsbury Hall, kind of very similar goal, gets threaded in, beats Mark Roberts in a foot race, which is quite rare because for all Mark Roberts' weaknesses and limitations, he's very fast. Um, but similarly, Ruddy comes out, he chips Ruddy again, 2-1. And that's how we went in at half time. And Dewsbury Hall weirdly kind of went for the old Goldie celebration, which I thought, I don't know if Vardy's been giving them all lessons or whatever.
Well, he's
But
I think he's a proper local Leicester lad, so I could
oh,
see
is it
the
right?
I could see the Vardy effect on that. A player who I didn't
Yeah,
really rate in the Premier League, but he's having a really good season for Leicester.
yeah. Big shame that Vardy didn't play. We didn't get to see the Rooney
Yeah, the
Vardy
Wagatha Christie
scrap on the
Mark
pitch.
II. That'd have been so good.
Yeah, I was looking forward to them like literally just squaring off at half time and a massive punch up. That was a shame because Rooney would win. But anyway, and then second half. Oh, a side note though, so Mavididi got booked for his celebration, and then right before half time, he's going into the box and he goes down on the edge of the box, so he's appealing for a penalty, and the referee doesn't give it. So should maybe be a second yellow.
Did he give a free kick?
Nope, didn't give anything.
Yeah.
Very
If he'd have
weird.
given the free kick, then I think it is a weird one now where you do see this sometimes
Hmm.
where a player will go down appealing for a penalty and it's a dive that doesn't get given, but they don't stop play and therefore
Hmm.
don't book the player for it's how often do you see a player get booked for diving? It's only if it's like a really
Ah,
theatrical one now, rather than
yeah,
one that's trying
yeah,
to really cheat, if that makes sense.
yeah. No, true. It's the kind of thing I think if you started dishing out bookings for it, it would hopefully cut it down. But who
Yeah.
knows? Things like that, and then arguably in the first goal, as Leicester are breaking, this kind of looked like it was maybe a handball in the build-up as well. So on them things, I think we were a bit unlucky, but Leicester are clearly so good and are clearly so much better than us. And I said at half time to a few people, I kind of worry that even though we're in a game with them and we're holding our own, I worry that as we get more tired and Leicester start to really dominate possession more, they're going to just rip us to shreds. Mavididi obviously scored again, start the second half, and we're all like, this could get pretty nasty now. But we stayed in the game with them and had another good spell towards the end. Jordan James scored another goal, bit lucky with a big deflection, but if you don't shoot, you don't score, and he made the chance for himself. And yeah, we just to lose 3-2 to Leicester and play like they're clearly so much better, but we played pretty well. We made good chances. It's weirdly the mood is better than it was a week ago for sure, and that's got to be a positive. I would say though, for a team like Leicester who scored as many goals as they have, scored 3 goals last night. This may sound strange, but they're pretty bad at shooting. Like genuinely, some of the chances they had second half, like it's like they were just taking the mick. I was like, how they weren't finishing us off, and must have been driving their manager mad because they missed some absolute sitters. If they were as prolific as they should be, they would have won. They'd win every game
Yeah.
like 5-6-0. Um, but no, stayed in the game with them. Weird performances from some individuals. Bielik, I know, is becoming a bit of a scapegoat, but he is struggling at the minute. His passing's not quite right. Um, Consistency and composure on the ball really seems to be going. And personally, I feel like Buchanan's not quite what he was either. Which is weird because they both played under Rooney at Derby as well. I don't mean to just dig them two out, but they both don't look quite themselves. And I just think last night the golfing quality between the best teams in the league and a team like us, even though I've said before we do have good players, I think the golfing quality really shows, and the golfing like footballing like intelligence, if you know what I mean, and just knowing exactly when to play that ball and that final ball and so on. And the golf is so clear. Um, Quick side note on Mark Roberts, who's come back into the team and is Mark Roberts. He will always be Mark Roberts. Like defensively, you know his limitations, you know his strengths. But what I find really strange, and this is the ever-going debate with Blues, the ongoing debate. Why do the Mark Roberts long throws keep getting? Why do we keep trying to use them? So I don't know if, like Mark Roberts has got a like Rory Delap level throw on him. Um, but I think it's resulted in like one goal, and that was against Derby away in like 2021. Never ever otherwise has it resulted in a goal. He always just launches it into the box, gets to the first man, and comes straight back out. But the weird irony of it is, Mark Roberts is like 6'4". He's a giant. His long throws never work. So just get him in the box. Stop. Like I just don't understand how manager after manager after manager we always do this. And the other irony of it is he's a really good crosser of the ball. A few times it would come back to him, and for a centre back, his crossing is actually excellent. So much so that someone behind me shouted, "Bend it like Robbo," as he whipped one in, which I thought was quite nice. It was quite funny. Um, but yeah, so for a loss, weirdly positive against a good team. Great pre-match light show. Enjoyed that. Couple of good goals, good match, 5 goal thriller. Not ideal, and limitations in the team are being shown up, and we've got a long way to go. But for the first time, really, in these last couple of games, I'm starting to see, hopefully, where the Rooney thing hopefully can go. It's a long, long, long way to go, hopefully, to get there. But yeah, feeling a lot more positive this week than I did a week ago. So yeah.
Nice. Shall we mop up a few bits of housekeeping, Dan?
Yep, sure.
I don't know if you've got much, but there was some quite interesting stuff coming out of Aston Villa today. Um, so our new president of footballing operations, Chris Heck, so he's the guy who replaced Christian Perslow in the summer, made his first sort of public appearance on Villa TV, did a 9-minute interview with the club, and quite a lot of interesting stuff came out of it. So obviously, the start of next season will be the 150th anniversary of Aston Villa Football Club. I think we're the first football club in England to celebrate that. So we're obviously going to make a big song and dance about it. There's going to be a slightly different badge next year, as well as the new badge that's going to come to replace this year's circle badge.
Oh,
Um,
what a mess.
I know we're going to end up with
With the
4
badges.
badges in 4 years.
Oh,
It's
it's
going to be
ridiculous.
insane.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot. I mean, to be fair to Chris Heck, a lot of the stuff that came out today, it sounds like a lot of steps backwards, but it's him trying to fix things that maybe the previous administration he doesn't agree with or got slightly wrong, and so he's trying to put his own stamp on stuff. So, hence the new badge. So the new badge that will replace the circle badge, that's going to be announced in about 3 weeks' time. So keep an eye on that, and there's going to be a big countdown. I think it was like from the start of next season, 150 days before the start of next season, the club are going to be making a big song and dance of like a countdown to celebrate that, which was interesting. He said something that I thought that which twigged me a little bit, where he said, I think you'll find a lot of interesting new aspects to the kit come the summer, including a 150th anniversary thing. So I mean, that interests me. As we talk about kits a lot on this podcast. What's going to be new and interesting to an Aston Villa kit? Is it going to be the new
I
kit
mean,
make, the new sponsor? Are we going to have? Are we going to be wearing green rather than claret and blue? Or so, I'm intrigued.
that it just sounds like PR. They all wheel this stuff out.
Yeah,
Like something about like Man United's new kit this year, they described it as like, oh, it weaves the fabric of Manchester with
yeah,
the history and the oh, like fuck off. It's a red kit, lads. Come on. Like
yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, that's something that I thought was quite interesting. The
Mm,
big news though that came from it was the North Stand expansion. We talked about this last week, how the new North Stand was going to close that stand for 2 years and reduce capacity to around 36,000. That has now been shelved, or at least
mm,
postponed for the foreseeable. This was one of Christian Perslow's big ambitions. Um, Also, of course, a big part. of the North Stand expansion was for Euro 2028 because Villa's Park is one of those stadiums. By the sounds of things, we should still be okay. But I was under the assumption that the stadium had to be at least 50,000, but apparently we might be okay with a
Oh,
thought
what for the
42.
Euros?
Yeah.
Nah,
Um,
I'm sure it's not that because there's a stadium in Northern Ireland that they use and that's like
uh,
30,000 or something. It's not even close. Yeah.
so yeah, we should be fine then for Euro 2028. Um,
Mm.
So he said reducing the capacity to 36,000 for 2 seasons was not seen as worth it to basically add 10,000 seats, mostly because of how well we're doing on the pitch this year. Because as things stand, and obviously things can change, May is it's still 5 or 6 months away. But as it stands, we look to be heading towards Champions League football next year, and reducing the capacity by nearly 10,000 seats would be kind of crazy when next year could be a huge revenue boost in terms of
Yeah,
ticket
yeah.
prices. The amount of ticket. If we're in Champions League football next year, that Villa Park will be a sellout every single week. Do you really want to reduce the
Mm.
stadium capacity down? So I
Mm.
understand that a little bit. Um, Obviously, with the way that the club has the ambitions to become a regular in the Champions League and all that stuff, there's never going to be a good time to increase the stadium capacity and close a stand because you're you're not going to do it when you're rubbish because no one goes. And if you're
Mm.
doing really well, you don't want to take the revenue away. It's a bit of a tricky one. Unless the new plan will be to do what Liverpool have done, which is build the new stand behind the current one. So that could be something they look at. There's
Mm.
To abate concerns, because it's something that does concern me, is there are currently no plans to relocate from Villa Park, which would be PR suicide, I would
Mm.
imagine. Um,
Yeah.
One of the big reasons as well is the transport concerns, and as I've got the train to and from Villa Park before, it's not too bad getting in, getting out is a disaster. That's with 42,000 fans. Um, Adding an extra 10,000 is not going to help that. There's been a lot of issues with Birmingham City Council about renovating the stations around Villa Park, and it could be an issue come the Euros as well. If you make the stadium bigger and you can't get the fans back into Birmingham City Centre, you're just going to have so many issues and problems. So until the travel, there's more parking and people can get public transport better in and out of the stadium, increasing the capacity is not a good idea. Something
Yeah.
that will go ahead though is the warehouse area outside Villa Park. They are going to press ahead revamping that in the summer to make that an outdoor area, drinks for venue that should house about 3,000 fans. It'll be like not hospitality, although we'll wait and say on that, but it'll be like a pre-match fan zone effectively.
Mm.
And finally, the only other thing he announced is that the store, which sells all the shirts, the Villa store, is going to double in size in the summer. They're going to make it even bigger because if you've been to Villa Park on a match day, it is a waste of time going in the shop because it's heaving. Even if you want to buy something, you might know exactly what you want. The queues are massive. You're hustling and it's like going to a Black Friday sale in like at Curry's. Like you've just got no
Mm.
chance. Or Primark on Black Friday or Boxing Day.
In
There's no point.
yeah,
There's too many people in there. That's what
yeah.
Villa Park is like on a match day for buying shirts. So that will be a good change. So some juicy stuff.
Nice, cool. This episode has just been Callum loving life at Aston Villa at the minute, really, sadly.
Yeah.
Um, not many negatives. Hopefully we have some negatives for Villa in 2024 to talk about on this podcast.
No, 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 no,
Um,
no. Absolutely not.
cool. Shall we move into the true festive games, like right in the heart of Christmas now? It literally is
Yeah.
thick and fast from here on out. Obviously, always is around this time of year. Um, so, when do you play next, Cal? You play Friday
So we
night.
play on Friday night, 8 o'clock, Sky Sports, Premier League. We're at home, looking to go top of the Premier League, as I said. We play Sheffield United, who are going to be in their third game under Chris Wilder. So a slightly more difficult game than maybe we would have had a few weeks ago.
Mm.
Obviously, it's going to be the return of Cameron Archer to Villa Park as well. So a player that never scored at Villa Park for Villa. So let's hope he doesn't open his Villa Park account this time.
Mm.
Um, we should really have enough to beat Sheffield United at home. They are probably the worst team in the league. Um, yeah, I think I put us to win 3-0. on my predictor this week.
Uh,
Um,
You must be laughing playing the worst team in the league at home where you've won every game since 2003, and like you go top if you win, even if it's just for a day or two. That's just insane. That is insane.
yeah, I'm really gutted. I'm probably not going to go to the game, which is going to be really sad. But I'm
Mm.
going to Burn. It just hasn't quite lined. If it was on Saturday, would be going. Friday night just doesn't quite work, which is a shame.
Of
But we're
course.
going to Burnley in a couple of weeks. But yeah, I think we'll win relatively comfortably. I don't know
Mm.
why this game's been picked for telly, but it has.
Yeah, it's kind of worked out for Sky weirdly. Although I don't. Side note: the new Sky deal and new TV deal means I think we'll be seeing virtually every Premier League game on TV before too long, eventually.
Yeah.
Cool. We're playing Plymouth away on Saturday on the 23rd. Mad how fast this season is going. We're already at a point where we're playing.
I
This
thought
is the first
this,
team that we're. This is the first time we're playing a team. This is like the second time where we played
the
them
reverse
this
fixture,
season.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I know there's a few others where we haven't played them yet. So I think we got Stoke on Boxing Day, and we haven't played them. We haven't played them yet. But
You're in a
yeah,
weird
Plymouth away.
scenario as well, where Plymouth are about to lose their manager because he's going to Stoke, and your next two games are
Yeah,
Plymouth and Stoke.
yeah. Like obviously it's not happened yet, so not too sure what's going on there. Hopefully that we can take advantage of that sort of uncertainty. But Plymouth are actually a place above us, doing better than I think a lot of people expected. Like they're comfortably better than some of the other teams in the league, and they played well when we played them at St Andrews actually in August. And we were actually quite lucky to beat them. But I'm hoping, obviously, we got an away win at Cardiff, and I said I'm hoping that we can build some momentum on this now. Uh, I'm hoping we can capitalise on this uncertainty and nick some in. And Rooney he said when he went to Cardiff, he wasn't interested in just getting a draw. So I can see us probably going for it, and hopefully we can catch him on a bad day. Um, or I hate saying fair play, but kudos or whatever to anyone who's going to Plymouth on the 23rd of December, right before Christmas. Um, and hopefully we can return the favour. And I'd say 2-1 would be my prediction. I think I could see us nicking it. I'm optimistic for a change. I can see it happening.
I can kill your optimism.
What?
There are two Aston Villa loanees at Plymouth.
Oh no. Who are they?
So get your money, put money on Kane Kesler-Hayden and Finn Az to score against Blues. I think Finn Az
Oh,
scored against you maybe earlier on in the season,
maybe, yeah. I
possibly.
can't remember, possibly. Yeah, put money on that then, because everyone scores against us who plays for Villa. Callum O'Hare only scores against Blues. Who else? That Philogene Bidet scored for Cardiff last year.
Keenan
Um,
Davis loved the goal against
Ian
you.
Davis always scores against us. Yeah, put money on it. All right, in that case, I'll say 3-2 because they're both going to score. So, um, cool. And then you're playing Boxing Day, are you?
You play before us on Boxing Day, so
I'll
go
do
for the
it.
Stoke game
Oh, cool. Yeah, so we're at home on Boxing Day,
on
and
Sky
we are.
Sports.
Yeah, we are. So I'm because all the Premier League's on Amazon, isn't it? So yeah, we're live on Sky Sports on Boxing Day, 5:15. I think it's against Stoke, who aren't having a great season. They're below us. I think they're about 19th in the league. And obviously, it's hard to make a prediction on the game when you've got another game in between it. But
And they're probably going to have a new manager as well.
yeah, possibly. So hope I'm. It's a tough one because I kind of hope he hasn't left Plymouth by that point, and we can capitalise on that bit of uncertainty. But I hope he's not at Stoke by the time, and I hope he's not at Stoke by the time we play them, and they don't get that new manager bounce. But I just feel more optimistic at the minute. Stoke aren't a great team. I think we've just looked a bit more up for it these last few games. If we could get if big ass considering Rooney's only got 8 points in total so far, but if we can get 4 points from these two games, that's a great return. That would be great, and that would finally be a bit of momentum. Um, and it's important as well because like we've got tough games coming up as well, like Leeds on New Year's Day. It is not going to be easy. So yeah, if we get 4 points, that'd be great. And I'd be interested to see if he keeps the team the same. I think he probably will for the most part. Be interesting to see if Bielik stays in though, because he's not been amazing lately. I wouldn't be shocked if he maybe drops Bielik, puts Bakuna in the centre, and maybe finds a way to put Miyoshi in the team. Because I feel like Miyoshi is too good a player to not be starting him. And maybe Bielik just needs a bit of a break, maybe clear his head a bit. But yeah, that's us on Boxing Day. So are you the night game on Boxing Day? Are you?
We're the 8 o'clock game on Boxing Day. So
Right.
Yeah, we've got Man United away. So you were saying kudos to all the fans going to Plymouth on the 23rd. Kudos to all the fans going up to Man United for an 8 o'clock
Oh,
kickoff on Boxing Day.
yeah.
Um,
I can barely be bothered to go to a home game on Boxing Day,
yeah. Oh, I love
let
going
alone
to
an
the
away
home game
game.
on Boxing Day, which is why I'm
Mm.
really gutted we're not at home.
I don't know.
But we have.
I kind of like not doing anything on Boxing Day, but yeah,
Well, you
could
can
be
just sit in
worse.
front of your telly, Dan, this year and just watch wall to wall football. There's
Yeah,
four
true. Yeah.
kickoff times on Boxing
Oh no,
Day.
I'll go St Andrews. Don't worry, I'll go.
Um, but yeah, so we got Man United away. We've only won there, I think, once since like 09-10, which was Dean Smith's last game a couple of years ago.
Mm.
Um, we lost last year when we went there, 1-0. Bruno Fernandes scored. If there's going to be another time to beat Man United at Old Trafford, it's going to be this year. It's got to be this year if we're going to beat them again. Um, obviously, our away form has been rocky. Um, Obviously, weirdly, if you look at our points return, it's actually been pretty good. It's just that the performances haven't quite been there, and Man United always seem to get that little bit of luck against us for the most part. Bruno Fernandes will probably score. Rasmus Højlund will probably get his first Premier League goal. Whether we've got enough to score three, we probably do. I think it'll be a good game. I think we'll really go for it. Maybe in the same sort of way that we went for Manchester City, but away from home rather than at home. We certainly shouldn't be fearing this Man United team, especially if some of our players have outside ambitions of challenging for the Premier League title. You got to. It would be a huge statement win to go to Old Trafford on Boxing Day and win. So Bournemouth did it. There's no reason we can't.
Yeah, obviously they got a good draw against Liverpool, didn't they, at the weekend, Man United?
They did. They
But
definitely went into that game trying not to lose 7-0.
yeah, I still have major reservations about them. I really don't rate
Yeah.
them at all. I wouldn't be annoyingly, I wouldn't be shocked if you went there and won, to be honest.
No, I mean they're the sort of side that would get a jammy result against us,
True.
though.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, if we go up there and get a point, it'd be a point gained, in all honesty. But be a great Christmas present if we won. Please,
And on
Santa.
that, on that note, then, should we call it a night?
We should probably wrap it up. This has probably been the longest episode we've ever done
Yeah.
comfortably. So if you're
Lots to
still
talk
here,
about.
thank you very, very
Thank you.
much for sticking with us.
Yes, God bless if you're still there. Lots to talk about though. Obviously, busy
Yeah.
times. Very significant times. Um, cool. So yeah, we'll try get one in. Obviously, busy time coming up with Christmas, but we'll keep you posted on that. So keep an
Yep.
eye out. But yeah, if you have enjoyed this week's podcast, please remember to follow us on Twitter and TikTok.
Yeah, you can find us with the handle at Second City Pod.
That's Second City Pod, so 2ND City Pod.
Yeah, and subscribe on whatever podcasting platform you're on. Give us a 5-star review. And you can follow us everywhere. It helps the algorithms out. We really do appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, our link tree's on screen now. That'll take you to everywhere rather than trying to do it individually. So yeah, click on that link.
Nice one, Cal. Until next week, and also everyone have a great Christmas. Look after yourselves. Have a great Boxing Day as well. Let's enjoy the football and yeah, take it easy and keep right on.
Couldn't have said it better apart from that keep right on at the end. So yeah, have a
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, Dan, and to everyone who's listening, up the villa, and we'll see you after Christmas.